Good morning, my name's Tim DeVries. I'm the sales manager with Hake Yachts. And today I'm on the Seaward 32RK. I'm going to go through and demonstrate how to raise and lower the mast. If you're going to raise and lower the mast yourself, we sell a really nice mast raising kit. And I'm going to go through the parts with you that consist of that kit. Also, today I have Rob Parks that's going to be helping me, just like if you were going to have your spouse help you out. So we're going to go through and show you the different parts of the mast raising kit at this time. The total setup time, raising the mast, getting the boat rigged out is about an hour and a half to 2 hours. The first time you do it, it's going to take you about 2 hours. But as time goes along, you'll get proficient enough and the boat will be set up so you'll be able to cut that time down to an hour and a half easily. The first part of the mast raising kit of the 3 parts is the mast crutch. The mast crutch sits in the back here, in the back of the rudder cage. There's a nice little hole right here, just slips right into. And then we have 2 support arms that come off the top here that tie into the stern rail. This gives it a very secure tie down, so when the boat goes down the road, we got a good tie down point. And then when you walk the mast back, all the way to the mast will be sitting on the mast crutch here. So you have to have a good secure point. And the second part of the mast raising kit are the stabilizer cables. What these cables do, it keeps the mast to come up straight up the center of the boat when it's going up and straight down the center of the boat when it goes back down. Without these, the mast would have a tendency to sway over to one side or the other. This keeps the mast very stable going up. And basically how you attach these are, you take the pin out and they work off the lazy jacks. You grab your lazy jack and you put it in the pin that we predetermined where it would be when we set it up here at the shop. So you won't have to guess at that either. We'll have that all set for you. Just pop that in like that. Then we have two cables here, one long, one short. The shorter cable goes in the predetermined hole that we drill in the tow rail of the boat. And it's right here on this boat here. So we go ahead and attach this very simply right here. That snaps in there. And then the longer cable goes up forward to this second predetermined hole. Again, once it's right in the tow rail. So you have no guess where these cables go at all. They go in these spots every time. Simple as that. And the third part of the mast raising kit is the gin pole. It's a square aluminum tube, very lightweight, but it's also very strong. I'm going to show you how this actually works later in the video and how we rig it all out. But basically, the gin pole goes right into the upper keel arm, just like that. And that just gives you a higher point to lift the mast with, which I'll go over again later into the video. All right, we're all set to go. We're ready to roll the mast back. We've got the mast stabilizing cables attached. But first thing we have to do, we have to attach a temporary messenger line on the CDI roller furler. The CDI roller furler is a little bit different than most furling units because it has an internal halyard system on it. It actually goes up and comes back down. So to do this, we have to tie off a messenger line to pull the Genoa up. Now Rob's just going to simply tie a simple bowline knot in and hand me the other side of the line, and I'll tie it off to the other side of the Genoa, of the CDI roller furler setup. Okay, well, I got the messenger line now, for Rob. Rob passed it up to me. Now I'm going to walk it forward and tie it to the other side of the CDI roller furler internal halyard system. And this way I ensure that I don't lose it, so I tie it off on both sides, not just one side. And if any part of that was unclear, I'm going to review it once again when I raise the Genoa, and that'll clear up any questions you may have. Okay, we're all set. We have the temporary messenger line hooked up to the CDI roller furler. The mast stabilizing kit's all attached. Now we're going to go ahead and walk the mast back. So here we go. Rob and I are going to go back. Rob's going to keep the spreaders nice and straight, and the mast will walk back nice and easy. As we do this, we want to look and make sure all the cables don't get tangled or get caught on anything. And see, at this point, the mast is real light for me. It's actually very well balanced back in the mast crutch here. Now at this point, you know, Rob doesn't really need to be holding it, but he's, you know, go ahead, let go, Rob. Once it's just real light right here. Now it's just well balanced. I'm going to go ahead and just show you how to pin it off. Just slip it right down here, line it up, get it in there. I'm going to get back here and get my pin in. Okay, at this point we got the pin in, and I'm just going to go ahead and put the shackle on. Again, that goes on this side, and we put a washer on both sides, on the outsides of them. Where'd the other one go? There. Put that in, and then you slide the pin in. And again, with the pin in, I want to make sure it's good and tight, so I take a nice pair of pliers, give it a good quarter turn at least, not a half. Had to go a half there. And now it's nice and tight. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and attach the cables. The cables are, again, this is the antenna cable, and this is the lighting setup here. Again, it's just a 5-pin hookup, just like a trailer. Real simple to do. Again, we have to do this to, you know, to transport the mast. But it's a nice, secure connection. So nice and secure. And again, at this point, if you want to, you could check your VHF to make sure you're receiving a signal and whatnot, and check your lighting. But again, I tuck in all my wiring. It's all stuck inside the mast here, so now when the mast comes up, nothing's going to get pinched. Okay, the next step of raising the mast is, you know, we've got everything all set. We got the mast pinned off. It's all set to go. Next step is to go ahead and round out the storm jib halyard. The storm jib halyard, again, just comes through the top of the mast here, runs down through the mast, exits the base of the mast, goes through the block down here on the pin. As you can see right here, it goes through a line organizer and goes back through the line clutch, and then you can go ahead and use the coach roof winch to winch it if you have to. This side of the line will come up, go through the top of the gin pole, and then it'll go forward to the bow of the boat, and we're going to use the Mainsheet system to go ahead and raise the mast with. And if any part of that is unclear to you, I'll demonstrate, and it'll get clearer as I demonstrate and show you how all this comes together. Now I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate how, you know, I'm going to thread this through the gin pole. Basically, I just take the gin pole off, and I'm going to run it through. It'll always be on the starboard side. Again, the way to remember this is if you look through the top of the gin pole, you'll be able to see the sky through it. If you look on the other side, you can't see the sky, so that's not the way it's going to go. So just a good trick to remember. So it'll always go through on this side. As simple as that. Now I'm going to go ahead and tie this off to the Mainsheet system, and then run the Mainsheet system back to the cockpit. Okay, the next part of raising the mast is what we have to do. We're going to replace the Mainsheet line with the Genoa line. The reason we do this is because the Genoa line is much longer than the Mainsheet system line, and this will give us, you know, plenty of line to go ahead and run from the bow of the boat all the way back into the cockpit. Okay, now I've got the Genoa line ran out and changed over for the Mainsheet block system that we're going to use. Now I'm going to go ahead and untie the storm jib halyard and attach it onto one end of this. and simply just go ahead and run it through here and tie a bowline on it. Simple as that. So that's one side. Other side, I'm going to go ahead and walk this back and pin it off up forward here on the bow spread of the boat. Now I'm going to go ahead and take this and attach it to the bow of the boat on the stem plate fitting where the roller furler attaches. Very simply, just take your shackle apart again. Now with that attached, I'm going to go ahead and run this red line back into the cockpit of the boat. Basically just gather it up, run it back over here, run it to your outside of your line organizer right here. Straight on back, right through your line clutch right here. And then pull the excess line back into the cockpit here. Okay, now I've got all the line pulled back into the cockpit. I've got plenty of line here. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the other side of the storm jib halyard and pull that in. And what that's going to do, that's going to expand that whole system out, and it's going to give me that much leverage to pull the mast up with. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and tighten up the main sheet by pulling in on the other side of the general line. Okay, just to recap where we are right now, I've got the main sheet system attached. It's attached to the bowsprit. Going up through the storm jib halyard. The storm jib halyard's coming out of the mast, coming back down through the foot of the mast and back into the cockpit on this side. The main sheet system's coming down on this side, running down into the cockpit on this side. So all I have to do now is go back into the cockpit, pull in the main sheet system, which will close it in, and when this closes in, it will lift the mast up, very simply. And I'll demonstrate. Okay, I'm back into the cockpit now, and I'm going to go ahead and start pulling in on the main sheet system here. Again, just going to close the main sheet system up, which will lift the mast up, very simply. Again, I've got the mast stabilizers on, so again, I just start out by doing it by hand to get a little lift on. And then go ahead and start winching it off. Again, just another safety tip here is when you get the mast up, just a little bit off the mast crutch, put a holder over the center of the mast crutch, just pull down, make sure all your lines are tight. It just gives you an extra test to make sure everything's going to be nice and secure. So everything looks good. I'm going to continue proceeding to raise the mast. Again, as I'm raising the mast, I can stop at any point. I want to just check all my cables, make sure they're not going to catch on any ears or anything like that of the winches. Clear everything. See, on this side, I'm going to catch this ear too, so I'm going to clear that. Everything's clear. I'm going to continue pulling up on it. So, again, I can stop at any point I want here. And as I winch, you can see that the main sheet system's closed it up. Stop again, check all my cables. Everything's clear. Again, at this point, the mast is getting past the halfway point, so it's going to get easier yet, even to crank. And there she goes, simple as that.